cash crisis worse. Talking about Venezuela once again.
Systemic important banks. They removed the 1,000 thing called monetary awareness.
All right, we are live for a little bit of a late night check-in or a late night news update. And so it's hard to ignore all the activity happening right now over in Asia. And so I wanted to connect real quick and just share with you a lot of headlines that's definitely getting a lot of attention because as of right now, the U.S. markets as of now, it's not looking too pretty to open up tomorrow morning. So it looks like Japan's activity last week to decide to hike rates into a global depression is obviously causing more harm than good. And so a lot of commentary out there, man. So I wanted to check in real quick, get your thoughts and see what else is might be unfolding right now, because this event that's occurring right now seems very systemic in nature. I don't think this is going to be just an easy patch over or a quick fix because of all the triggers that are being pulled right now. So we got triggers being pulled in Japan and South Korea. And so as of right now, there's a probability that there might be some triggers pulled here with our indices tomorrow. So we got banks right now, Japan, taking major losses. Stuff is not looking pretty out there. So I just want to share with you what I've been keeping my eyes on this evening, just because it's hard to ignore, just because the way things are playing out. I mean, tomorrow morning is going to be a morning like no other. And just a Zero Hedge's title to an article that they just put out, basically saying that, as of right now, it's a Black Monday, Japan Monday type of an event unfolding right now. So, but anyway, man, happy Sunday night to everybody. It's going to be interesting, man. But, despite all the things that might unfold, I still have somewhat of a sense of calm and ease, in my spirit, just because a lot of the unraveling of these products and stocks and things of that nature. We all know how volatile they can be because it's predicated on this inflated bubble of an economy we have going right now. So people who hold real tangible things, I'm sure it gives you somewhat of a little bit of a easier and more comfortable feeling. But anyway, man, hope everyone's doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. And so as of right now, looking at precious metals activity, I'm not seeing anything that really has me concerned with that as of now. But then again, you know how it is at 10 a.m. in the morning when the Crimex opens, there's a slam down. And it's good to say that tomorrow, gold and silver, when the Western markets open, might have somewhat of a little something going on there. But let me just share with you some things that keep my attention right now, go through some headlines, and feel free to throw some thoughts out there. So Mike says rate cut is inbound. Yeah, you would think that would probably be a response. But then again, I wouldn't hold my breath waiting on the Fed to decide to cut something. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, man. Cryptos, Mike. My cryptos, I'm scared. Yeah, I see Bitcoin is and all the other cryptos is taking a little bit of a cooling off period now. And think about all the traders that are heavily leveraged, and just all these markets in general, like all this other stuff that's built around allowing people to profit off of trading activity. And so the lower these markets go, the more margin calls are triggered, and therefore losses are taken, and more people got to sell other things to try to scramble to find liquidity to cover these losses here. So it's like a daisy chain of events that can unfold, man. But real quick here, I just want to go through some headlines, man. Feel free to get your thoughts. Might even open up the phone lines tonight. It's been a minute since I've done that, but as of right now, this is what's happening in the Asian atmosphere as far as markets concerned. So as of here, we had a little bit of a drawdown, 6% in gold, 20 and 0.63% and silver in the Asian area. But once again, it's still early. It's still early. Wait till they open up it tomorrow. But article here that caught my attention, man. Well, I'm like, we got to talk about this because, yeah, Japanic Monday. Japanese bonds stocks halted after plunging into bear markets as everything crashes everywhere. Like, I don't know, you would say that's like this is some doom and gloom type stuff, but yet when I'm looking at all these figures, I'm looking at the banking index in Japan, and I saw like 20%, 15%, 16%. So banks are literally right now just crumbling. But yeah. And so the question is, will we wake up to, in a couple of hours here in Western markets here in the U.S. experience the same type of troubles? We'll see. But real quick here, this is just some zero hedge, referring to how the Bank of Japan decided to hike rates, which a lot of people talk about the unraveling of the carry trade, basically just, borrowing at, basically zero for the last umpteen years. Now you go up a quarter percent, it shifts the whole dynamic of how this Ponzi scheme of a system has been kept together. But real quick here, it says, and we were right, referring to a call they made earlier, because by deciding to hike rates into an economic slowdown, the Bank of Japan, which, as we noted last week, changed the rules again, has unleashed a financial apocalypse by creating a positive feedback loop that culminates with a deflationary collapse of all assets, which has led to not only the Nikkei promptly entering a bear market from its all-time high hit just 3 weeks ago and wiping it out all of its year's gains to date. So literally Friday ended bad, but then you start off Monday with even worse downward trajectory. So just look at this chart here, man. This is nothing to nothing to really frown about. So here we got it says, which has also suffered its biggest 2-day drop in history, surpassing Black Monday. So here you can see on the screen here this little drop here going back all the way up into 87 time frame, and it's lower than that, so that's a problem. So we've had some circuit breakers triggered. But at the top, it says trading from its peer, the TOPX, which is the bank index of the top, I think 30 banks or something like that. It says circuit breaker triggered for a TOPX index. Also enters the bear market. Japan's TOPX index 20% from its July peak. Circuit breakers triggered for Japan government bond futures. Nasdaq 10 futures dropped by 2%. Muhuzo shares, it falls 12%. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting day. Blue Water Stacks, we called it. The end is here. Love you, bro. Appreciate you for the love offering, my friend. And it's one of the things where you don't really want to be right, but then again, the way things are set up, it can't be propped up, and a bubble can't continue to inflate without something being the pin that pricks it all. And as of right now, it appears that Japan, with their rate hike, that they were the last country that should have never really raised rates, given the fact that they've been at zero for the last 20 plus years, and they've built the entire economy upon subsidizing their entire economy off the Bank of Japan buying up over 50% of all the debt the government issued. And so all the monetary experiment that has been in play for the last 30 plus years, we can always see that in Japan. And so now that Japan is unraveling, how can the rest of the world not also fall victim to the same type of policies? And so I wouldn't be surprised right now. We have the Treasury and the FOMC board, like like right now it's 10:38. They were on a Zoom call, all of them, with along with Wall Street. You better believe Jamie Dimon, Larry Fink, all those people on a Zoom call, maybe 50 or so individuals on screen right now talking, trying to figure out, and this is just me, just putting my tinfoil hat on, but they like, hey, this could be it. This is what we've been all preparing for. Like, Japan might have did this, and now it's time to really brace for, markets tomorrow when they open. We may have to trigger and pull the trigger and stop some things. And, is everybody set? Everybody ready? This is what we've been preparing for. Like, I did the video, was it earlier this year, where let me see, where they did all the exercises, like they perform exercises and drills and things of that nature in case of an event. And so this could be the event. Who knows? I don't want to, it's not like I'm excited about this event, because, if this is a systemic event that would really cause a major banking event, because ultimately everything goes back to the banks, then the rest of this week will be very crazy, to say the least. So Ed says it's a black swan. Ed, are you referring to the Japan situation and all the other Asian markets crumbling right now? As far as a black swan with that, a black swan could be in the works. So, and this is kind of unrelated to the subject matter at hand now, but literally, it's no surprise. Let me pull some other stuff up here, because I share this stuff in Telegram. But it's no surprise that we have Iran literally saying that we're about to go and we're about to get back at Israel. And so here's a little article here that and so Friday, when we finished up the live stream, my thought was, based upon the fact of seeing all this military activity take place, we could literally see. I thought about this. I meant to do a live stream yesterday saying that literally come Sunday or Monday, we could literally have a event that would lead to war, because what better time to trigger something to distract as well as to juice the markets back up. And so I posted something on Telegram saying that don't be surprised that this upcoming week we have a military conflict. And so we got here, Iran to Arab leaders. We don't care what you say. War with Israel is happening. And so this is their leader basically riling up the troops, getting ready to go. And so it says the strike could occur as early as Monday, with groups like Hezbollah potentially joining the offensive. So Iran has bluntly told Arab leaders, including those from Saudi Arabia and Jordan, that it doesn't care about the opinions regarding an impending war with Israel following the assassination of Hamas chief Ismail in Tehran, said, which Iran blames on Israel. An attack is considered imminent. So Japan is crumbling. South Korea is having issues. That's the Asian market. Literally, what better time to, God forbid, drop some type of bomb? And then I saw another headline that Iran says we now have nuclear capabilities. I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't help things. So literally, I've watched and I've had my opinions. I haven't really expressed them yet, but I've been watching. Especially, I watched the Netanyahu speech in front of Congress, and I saw all the cheering on both sides of the aisles, and I realized that our country has beyond been captured. And literally, Israel is the current Israel, Netanyahu, the globalist individuals that and I hate the fact that if you speak out against Israel, you're labeled as an anti-Semitic. But then again, you have to literally point. You got to point the finger at where a lot of the issues are coming from, and it goes against my spiritual nature, because I know as a believer in Christ, I'm called to bless Israel. But when you have two different variations of Israel, it's hard to not call them to the carpet. So you have the spiritual side of Israel, and then we have the globalist, more captured / and I'm about to be radical with this, but I'm going to be real, the followers of the rulers of this world, Jews. And so clearly, with all this death and destruction being caused by Netanyahu and the people who are above him, literally, that's not the Israel that I believe I am praying for when I say I'm praying for Israel. Because I do believe, spiritually speaking, being, a spiritual follower of the messianic lineage of Jesus Christ and all the plans of things that will come and unfold, he still has a select few of Jews that are true, like Abraham descendants, the true ones. So anyway, I'm not going to go out on the rabbit hole, but just things I'm thinking about anyway. But so long story short, with articles like this about war, and then you have the U.S. sending more assets. I posted in Telegram real quick. They're sending 4,000 boots to the Middle East. Let me grab something real quick just to show you what I'm talking about here. Let me see it next week. Okay, so here's a headline right here. So I'm just trying to put together, based upon Ed, your comment about a black swan. The event that will probably unfold will be the response to Israel, because they have literally been provoking every single bordering country. They've been provoking Syria. They've been provoking Iran. They've been provoking Jordan. They've been provoking Yemen. They've been provoking too many Muslim countries. And clearly, they're trying to drag the world into a war. And so that right there is something that you can't really deny, because this is much greater than the Palestinian Gaza crusade. So literally it's the Israeli crusades right now, because they know the U.S. has to show up because we're their allies. So here we got just a headline says, United States sends 4,000 Marines to the Middle East, the Pentagon says, and this was on Friday or yesterday. So, and then you got ships and cruisers and everything like that heading to the Middle East. They're doubling down there. So outside of this financial stuff that's unraveling right now, you better believe that, there might be some missiles that drop come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that will also impact this, where that'll be a great cover up for the Federal Reserve to say, hey, our nation's at stake. We got to go help and defend and all that good stuff in the Middle East. And, it could be a reason to pivot. They'll use that as a reason to pivot, or somehow, some way, another, line of liquidity might be created by somehow, some way, or our government comes together and try to pass another emergency type of act. Who knows? But real quick here, I want to just focus on a subject at hand from what we do know. And as I just thumb through some of the things that's trending right now, because stuff keeps coming out, here we have more of the contagion taking place. This is from Mario Nafal, who does a good job. He says South Korea halts stock sell orders amid market volatility. So the KOSPI down 4.6%. And then we have, this is incredible, the Nasdaq 100 index is now trading below 18,000, just 6.5% away from entering bear market territory. It says ETH is down. Then we have breaking shares of Japan largest bank, MUFG, are down over 21% today. And it's like nonstop, man. Nonstop commentary, sharing their thoughts. And then we had some military activity the other day where the Israel is trying to defend themselves from a missile attack from supposedly Hezbollah. So, this is what's happening, man. Things is happening right now, and it's just a matter of, I guess, being patient, waiting and seeing what's happening. And so, like I've always said before, throughout the entire length of this show here, it's better to be prepared in reference to having as little exposure to these markets that we know were fraudulent, and having things in your possession or relatively closer to you that you can either get to immediately to access, or things that you have strategically been positioned in that will be the beneficiary of when the liquidity spigot is cut back on. And so markets may take a dip. If there's emergency type of meeting or something like that, the Fed comes out, they'll definitely reverse course. There'll be some type of immediate cut. But then again, it won't be enough to really get things back, heading in the direction they want to. So they're going to respond out of an emergency situation rather than sticking according to some type of plan. And therefore, mind you, this is all one big experiment. So I wouldn't really bank on them being really able to do much. And so if they don't print something and further expand the monetary base, then what really are they doing anyway? So somebody says BTC is down 20%. Okay, that's different. So once again, so think about this for my maxis. We know how leveraged Michael Saylor is. He's taken out all his debt. And so he has, limits to where he can't go beneath that limit before there's some calls on that debt. And so he may end up being in a situation where he's going to be pinched for cash if he has to, pay back some of that debt or something like that. And so, I'm sure he wouldn't want to sell Bitcoin, but he may be forced to sell or to go further into debt to try to cover some of these losses that he might incur himself. So therefore, MicroStrategy, which has been one of the greatest plays, so-called plays on the stock market because of the leverage Saylor has taken out on his company. So that could be an unraveling event as well. And and then I saw that Peter Schiff mentioned that tomorrow you better believe when the markets open up, the ETFs holding Bitcoin and holding Ethereum, they're going to definitely be looking to sell off on some things too. So it's going to be a daisy chain of events. And so let me just check in and share with you what Peter's putting out there. Because once again, Peter Schiff, I actually was talking about him yesterday, and I was telling people like, hey, you know, if you, I can only tell you so much, but you want to really find out how deep it goes, check out Peter Schiff. And so he's a more credible person than I am because he's been living these markets. But it says central banks have played for fire for years. Now the world is about to be burned. They kept interest rate artificially low, blowing up a global debt bubble. But as inflation rears its head, rising rates has pricked the bubble. So he's referring to Bank of Japan and everything else. Now it's time to pay the piper. The game is over. So this is as of an hour ago. And so the game is over, according to Peter Schiff. So, yeah, we will see what all that entails. But what else we got going on here? But just more from Peter Schiff here. So, well, I'm curious to see, what do you guys keep your eyes on, man? Like, once again, whenever there's, as they say, blood in the streets, that's the best time to buy. And so I've also saw Warren Buffett. We've been talking about Uncle Buffett for a minute, man, and his cash pile has been growing to the point where now Uncle B sitting on $277 billion. And I remember saying how it's no doubt in my mind Uncle B is going to be looking for fire sale items. And as of right now, even on Telegram, I share the commercial real estate where, you know, a $300 million skyscraper in some other city went for $8 million last week. And so Uncle B will be able to buy an entire metropolitan city at the end of the day. And so look at this. Berkshire's cash pile hits a record $277 billion as it slashes Apple stake. So why would you be holding on to so much cash unless you knew something was coming and you wanted to be ready? Just something I'm sure people will definitely be interested to find out what he does. So it says, which one is more shaky, BTC or commercial real estate? I appreciate the love offering, Mattless. Which one is more shaky? As of right now, given the overall landscape of our economy, they're both of concern, but commercial real estate, I think, is it stands the greatest risk, and it's the most shaky. Because a lot of people over the last 15 years took out loans to deliberately buy these properties for investment's sake. And so more debt was taken out to purchase properties that at this current moment, the entire working landscape, you know, the office landscape is all changed to where, due to the debt being very burdensome for all these companies that are occupied within these buildings, they're just opting out, not paying. So landlords are stuck with just property that is only worth the amount of income you're able to receive off of it. So we've already, as a part of just having the reserve currency, overbuilt and overborrowed to the point where commercial real estate is very it doesn't have that much value at the end of the day, as we're witnessing, if it doesn't have tenants. Whereas in Bitcoin, it's the greatest speculation in modern history because it came out of nowhere at the right exact time during this reset to distract the world and making them think that it is an asset that will be around for, as Michael Saylor say, for the next 500 years. You're going to give it to your grandkids. I mean, come on now. It's only been around 15 years. Nobody can tell the future of computer code, especially first generation, you know, code that is not perfect at all. It's been running along, but they've been finding bugs that they haven't been telling people about, and it's out. The information's out there. Go find it for yourself. But trust me, I studied this stuff extensively. But long story short, commercial real estate will not be coming back, but Bitcoin will be coming back, because once the Fed decides to reverse course, they cut rates, they're going to juice the markets up. And when they cut the spigot on, if this is a contagion of contagions, meaning that, you know, because of the ripple effects that will come our way as of tomorrow, and when the markets open up, they're going to need 10 trillion just to get back to something that will be relatively calm, but that won't be enough. So they're going to need another 10 on top of that. So literally, if you create 10, 20 trillion out of nothing to try to prop up the global markets, mind you, if they want to try to pretend to save the global markets, they're going to have to try to bail out banks in Europe, Asia, South America. So every region has the same problem, too much debt. And it's all, for most part, heavily denominated in Federal Reserve notes. So if the Fed's going to try to save somebody, you better believe they're going to have to print more for us and the world if they go that route, which I don't think they will. But they'll print enough to where Bitcoin will drop to whatever it drops. And then the I wouldn't be surprised if Wall Street as well as the maxis go on a marketing campaign that really allows a lot of that new capital, new freshly printed capital to make its way into Bitcoin. And the banks and the ultra wealthy will end up going to gold and perhaps silver before they go to Bitcoin, because that's where gold, that's why gold is already at 2,500, 2,400, which is already an all-time high, signaling that people have been running to gold automatically. And so the goal is to distract people with Bitcoin so that gold doesn't shoot off. Because mind you, if you remove Bitcoin and all those other cryptos from the equation, period, meaning that it wasn't introduced at this exact same time, gold would already be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. And the last and the most important metal that they cannot afford to just run rampant is silver. And so if there was no digital distractions, gold and silver would have already been at all-time highs beyond what they are now. And it would make it very hard to usher in that digital future that they have planned for us. So long-winded answer, but commercial real estate is tank. Bitcoin is going to drop, but it's going to shoot back up when they start juicing the markets again. LD says 375 trillion worth of debt, according to Schiff. 375 trillion. That's a lot of debt, man. So literally, there's no way of trying to even think about servicing that. So you're going to take your losses. So the powers that be, the monetary authorities, they're going to figure out what's more important and what's worth trying to pretend to save. And the first thing come to my mind is the globally systemic important banks. So if these daisy chain of events continue to unfold, if we get to that point, if this is that moment that we've been talking about forever, then we already know the backup measures for the banks, which is bail-ins. And so everybody now who has accounts in the GSIBs, they've already put it into the program, how they're going to resolve the capital issues that they're going to face. They're going to use depositors' funds first. And that won't be enough. So the government still go step in. So yeah, we'll see, man. We will see. What else we got? Need to create more debt to finance the current debt. 100%. 100%. Skate Punk says, don't invest in air. Daryl, what's up, man? It says there has to be a debt jubilee or forgiveness. This is out of control. So yeah, and I agree 100%, man. But you got to realize this: what's at stake for the powers that be, meaning the monetary overlords of humanity. This is all about the monetary structure, which is ran and operated and controlled by the banks, the people who are in charge of the central banks. So we got, of course, we know JP Morgan's influence and all the other, Goldman Sachs, all their influence over the banking sector. But Federal Reserve, IMF, the World Bank, and the other hundreds, 100 and I think it's 130, 140 other central banks that listen to the Fed and listen to the IMF and World Bank. So it's all about keeping the control. So they will do whatever it takes so that they don't take the blame for this. And if the deck of cards fall, they want to be the first ones on the scene to help build it back up. And of course, we know what's already on the books. It's going to be more digitization. They don't want nobody talking about gold or silver. Like, think about this. All the candidates that's talking right now, they're all talking about Bitcoin and talk about creating a Bitcoin reserve. But we got a gold reserve, but they don't even acknowledge that or even do anything to mention just revaluing gold to what it should be in comparison to the amount of units created in an existence right now, dollar terms, which will put gold at 30, 40, 50,000 an ounce. And then you can start addressing paying back our national debt. But they can't have that because gold is in the hands of individuals such as yourself. And that means that you would be shielded and protected from their malfeasance, and they don't want that. But they would be okay with you going into digital nothings that is on a code on a ledger that, of course, they have more of an impact than they would like for people to know. And so if something happens with that ledger, it's okay because it's nothing tangible anyway. And so literally, if there was a glitch or the network was to not produce a block or produce a faulty block, and there was an unraveling of the network or something like that, it'll be mainstream news. Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. But then again, oops, like, it's just because it's all on the screen. You can't actually go and withdraw your Bitcoin into a physical form and it not have anything to do with that ledger. So anyway, I can rant about that forever, but yeah. And so, once again, as a gamble, as a speculation, of course, I play in that market as well. But then again, I know that at any minute that network can produce a block and then stuff can unravel, and that wouldn't be fun. DF Press says there's 335 trillion in the world debt. They want you to lock to look anywhere that is fake, 100%. So what I'm thinking is possible for this week, as of right now, if I refresh. And so it's amazing how X has become such a viable source of information. I'm very skeptical of Elon, but then again, because I know Elon is a puppet that's in the bed with the governments nationwide, and he has plans that I don't think are really very friendly for the people overall. But here's something else. I don't know about this, but this is from a somewhat credible source. Let me get this off the screen here. Give me a second. So this is as of 2 minutes ago. Mario Nafal says breaking: North Korea deploys new missiles. Oops. New missiles launchers near South Korea border. So once again, if you guys have been paying attention, I'm sure you heard about how Russia has been sending several flights to Iran in the form of what has been mentioned as military aid. And so because of the Russia-Ukraine situation and NATO getting closer to Russia's border, Putin said that if you guys cross this line, we will be more than willing to help provide aid and military equipment to your enemies. And so apparently there's been a large flights of carriers delivering stuff to Iran, which, if that is true, literally everybody's gearing up for some type of war if this article headline is correct. But North Korea leader Kim Jong-un delivered 250 new tactical ballistic missile launchers to troops near the South Korean border. So once again, even Trump was talking about, doing his little speech yesterday. Last night I watched in Georgia. I was focused on the propaganda that comes from that podium, and I got thoughts on that. I'm not gonna go on there right now, but he keeps talking about, we're closer than ever to World War III, and I can stop it. And so I'm like, okay, but if you are so confident you can stop it, which I don't doubt that you could, from a boss perspective, call people together and get some stuff done. But that's, like if you win in November. And so right now stuff is jumping off in August. So if you really are disruptive, as a lot of people think that you might be, then they're not gonna let you get back in office to do that, because they would rather have a war than let there be peace on earth. So anyway, but yeah, man, let me know what you guys thinking in the chat, man. What do you guys keep an eye on? What is new? What's not? Jim Cramer's out here talking now. Whoa, okay, here's something else as well. Wow, NVIDIA, man. If NVIDIA, it says NVIDIA, this is from the 𝗙𝗙𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪, another great news source. NVIDIA stock is officially down 30% from its all-time high in overnight trading. Since its high on June 20th, NVIDIA has erased $1.2 trillion. $1.2 trillion. We raised 1.2 trillion market cap. To put it this in perspective, only 7 public companies in the world have a market cap of 1.2 or high or more. NVIDIA has lost more market cap than the total market cap of Tesla and Walmart combined. Truly historic. So this is market activity as of right now. before the markets open. So that will be something that people will keep an eye on. And then we have Korea Stock Exchange is crashing. This was 42 minutes ago. So we see from 27.80 down to 25.30. And so, yeah. So as of now, the way that news is unfolding, clearly, the Asian markets is going through some things right now. And of course, if they want, so everything we're witnessing now is it could be a false alarm pending that meeting that I mentioned, that that right now I'm sure Federal Reserve, Treasury, and other Wall Street bankers are having a Zoom meeting right now, if they haven't already, watching this, because they have to watch this because it's going to spill over here. So literally they're either making preparations to support activity happening in Asian markets, or they're going to let it come down because this is something they want to come here, and then we deal with whatever comes next here. So mind you, even though it looks like something that's broke out of Japan, they knew about Japan issues well before now. And of course, Japan don't move unless they consult with the West first. So it's even possible that the West okayed Japan to do that, because it's one of many other dominoes that they want to make sure that are tipping over now, which could be a problem heading to this presidential election. Because if the market's coming down, if that is a possibility, and if there's some type of military conflict, that is more than enough reason to make sure that we may not have that November election the way that I mentioned a couple years ago. We may not have it. So once again, this is all just just talk as of now, but we'll see. Don't forget the option to print $1 trillion coin or many to pump up the Fed's balance sheet to purchase assets and juice the markets. $1 trillion coin, that'd be something that they've considered, of course, and mentioned, but I think it'd be unlikely given the timing. Like, it'd be hard to call like a special Congress meeting tomorrow or Tuesday or Wednesday and say, we need to support the markets. Let's come up with let's use $1 trillion coin card. I don't think they'd do that. I think literally it'd be justifiable if the contagion spreads into the U.S. The banks tomorrow don't do well. The stock market tomorrow cool off. Because of course, let me just share with you right now. This is what the futures are talking about at this moment. So as of right now, Dow Jones futures. Let me see what we got. Okay. So as of right now, this is what we're looking at. Not that bad, not even a single percentage point, but the volatility index is still extremely high, relatively speaking. So it's going to be an interesting morning, man. But then again, we all knew that at some point, change gonna come. What else? What else you guys keep your eyes on? Bank of America is gonna blow. Bank of America is gonna blow. A lot of banks are going to be in big trouble. And speaking of which, let me look at I was trying to find the banks in Japan. Let me find because the derivatives exposure from all the GSIBs is going to be major. And so I got so much to tell you. So literally, just talk, on the presidential side of things, I've really been paying attention to Venezuela. And I spoke with, my contact there, Jose, and he's been sharing information with me saying that there's mercenaries on the streets there. They breaking in houses. It's just, man, it's so much chaos in Venezuela right now. He's like, the gangs are on the streets and they're rounding up people and either put them in prison and charging them a ransom. If they can't pay, they spend more time in jail. And he's basically saying the crime and corruption has just tenfold there. And according to him, he said 92% of the population wants Maduro out. And Maduro threatened the population, saying that if he loses the election, there will be hell to pay. So are the mercenaries that are on the streets, because they're not military. They're not, and he even made it apply that they may not even be Venezuelans. He said the Cubans are there doing stuff. So I'm like, damn. So, yeah, a lot of interesting things unfolding, man. It says, True Mike, one reason I mentioned it, because last time I walked it was talked about the debt ceiling. So another instance of an urgent matter. Yeah. Down. Let me see. Let me check and let me see what the crypto bubble looking like right now. Let me refresh my screen. Let me go 15 minutes. So just looking at the crypto market, nothing but red. And so this is the 15-minute update. So as of right now, just looking and seeing what we got for BTC, because that is the numero uno. So as of now, it got down earlier to 53. And so as of right now at 11:10, it's 54,107. And so you better believe there's a lot of margin calls right now happening in that space. And of course, BTC and cryptos in general, they're all speculative plays they're in the last line of importance for investors. So those are the things that people will be willing to sell off with no problem. Gene, appreciate you. Thanks for putting up the link there. Current inflation close to 10% now. Can't trust admin numbers. More printing, more inflation, gold, silver. Mike, good, 100%, man. There will be that second wave of inflation. Because think about this. If this is really an event unfolding right now and it requires a response, the response is only more liquidity or easing, reversing course and easing. And therefore, that currency will hit the circuit, it will hit the streets in some capacity. And it's only going to add to the flames that are already on the fire. It's going to cause more of a blaze. That blaze meaning, higher sticker prices. So literally consumer prices will respond to that new tranche of liquidity. And I guess the biggest concern is the size of that number that will come. And so I remember Jerome Powell doing one of his 60-minute speeches. He was talking about, he was asked a question about the Fed's balance sheet. And he made a statement that really blew my mind. He said that the Fed's balance sheet, there's still more room to meet, demand, to meet emergencies. They're nowhere near their ceiling as to how much they can create if need be, because it's low compared to where it can go. I'm like, well, damn, like that's it was already so let me just look at the Fed's balance sheet as of right now. And so when he said this figure, this was, I think, during the crisis phase. So literally, as of right now, this QT, which is just this. So from the time they started tightening all the way through all of this, we're down at 7.2 trillion. And so each one of these surges is an emergency response. We got the great financial crisis here. We got QE 1, 2, 3. They tighten again. Then, of course, in September, the repo market broke right before COVID hit. And then COVID hit, and bam, this spike here, and bam, bam, bam. So literally, if it's 7.2 now, I said at the bare minimum, just to try to reinstate confidence back into the global economy, you're gonna need 10 trillion. So literally, if it goes from 7 off the charts to $17 trillion of liquidity created in the form of them basically buying government bonds, and then that's just not enough still, then yeah, man, how do you can't contain that? That's going to be disastrous. Therefore, there will be a major flight to safety, and that safety will ultimately boil down to what has always been proven to work well, regardless of what monetary officials do. And it's gold, silver, and of course, platinum and palladium won't be left behind. So we're going to see a lot of interesting activity in the metal space. So as of right now, from the time I first started live streaming, it looks like the drawdown that took place in the Asian market has recovered to where gold is now back in the green. So mind you, based upon what we're seeing here, if all the banks in Japan are having issues down 20%, 30%, and I had the graph, but I can't find it, and literally there was a sell-off of gold, and it recovered back to pre Bank of Japan crises, pre, stock market being triggered, crises level. So that lets me know that literally, like, this could be that decoupling moment to where tomorrow, if there's a contagion event of things that happen here in the U.S., gold could sell off based upon literally the powers that be dumping the most amount of future paper contracts that they've never dumped, and then it can recover just like that and probably go past 24.45. Like, so that's a probability. And it's all everything hedges, in my opinion, on this metal right here and this number 28.56. And if silver follows gold tomorrow as a result of the inability to keep the price suppressed on these two assets here, we could probably see 35 silver. And then I remember people say 35 is that that ceiling, that if it breaks that ceiling, then literally stop, it's up and running. And this has a lot to do. So think about this. Let me see. I watched a little bit of Mario's video, Maneko 64, and he was saying that there's a trader out there that put on some type of long in silver, and he put out the figure of it of him basically he's betting that silver is going to hit $200 an ounce. And so whoever that trader is, I don't know the details. I didn't watch it in depth, but I just saw that number, $200 silver. So either that person, if what I'm sure what Mario was reporting is, what he got for real. But let me see if I can find it, because so if that particular trader is willing to put on that type of bet, then he might know something, or it may be an institution that is getting ready to just profit majorly if silver price breaks out. So could you imagine if that trade comes to fruition? So I don't even think that person would be considered a genius. I don't think they're an insider. They're somebody that is willing to take that risk for the biggest payday of what probably would be their trading lives type of activity. But once again, we'll see. Matla says, not just inflation, but war with Iran in the next few days means the Strait of Hormuz and Red Sea become parking lots, no oil supply, higher prices. Matt, come on, man. That's too much. That's too much. You'd have to bring all that up into the conversation, man. That's just more than we want to handle tonight. Let's just keep it. Talk about the banks for now. Let's just keep it simple. Don't go down to supply shocks and grocery stores emptying out. We don't want to talk like that, because anything like that is possible. But once again, if you're tuned in right now and you're in an alternative media atmosphere, that you should always have an extra canned goods, extra something on the side just in case, because you never know what could happen. And yeah, that's just, come on now. Let's just stay focused. Just stay focused on the markets right now as best we can. But whew, Bitcoin is the way. Gold and real estate is a fool's errand. Gold is fool's. So Red Rider, not even knowing. I would automatically assume, not even knowing, I would assume that you're joking, just because outside of the perception and having bought into the narrative surrounding Bitcoin being this unstoppable, all the words that are just hope and hype, ultimately speaking, 15 years is not enough to really guarantee anything with something that is not even a tangible physical item. Like it's software. And so even though we live in a digital world, all the dollars are predominantly digital, I know, but once again, it's still software. And to even mention gold in its category is somewhat like we're going to find out for sure. But it's I wouldn't even, I don't even talk about gold and silver in the sense that I don't believe in it. It's not. I don't have to believe in it. It's been proven. Like it's been through every single depression, war era, monetary reset, global power shift, currency. It's been around since. Yeah. So, and it's good to say it will be around still. But then again, if I'm a gambling man, I definitely would hold some satoshis just to be on the recipient, be a recipient of some of the liquidity that's coming at the end of the day. Without cheap electricity, BTC cannot even exist. That is the. I mean, I can go with that as well. Bitcoin is not stable or solid. Yeah, I would agree with that one. What else? Let me refresh the X page real quick, and then we're going to call in a day because I'm sure there will be more news coming in throughout the rest of the morning, and so we could be on here forever. But then again, I don't want to just sit here and focus on what would be considered. I'm not sure how to read this. Okay, so here's something. So this is an indicator for sure. Looks like, according to the gentleman Mario, once again, just literally 2 minutes ago, posted, or 4 minutes, breaking. Lockheed Martin stock sees a wild price swing. Says while global markets continue their downward spiral with cryptocurrency and Asian equities plunging, aerospace giant Lockheed Martin experienced a dramatic surge in its stock price before retreating. And so whenever the military industrial complex price shoots up, that means that somebody got word that a bomb going to be dropped soon, and you want to position yourselves because the U.S. is about to come in and fund a war, and so somebody's about to get paid. So literally, this is probably Nancy Pelosi and her crew. Literally, that like they like, okay. So, and I'm just rambling right now, but for those who been here since my beginning of my rant, I mentioned how I wouldn't be surprised if the FOMC, Board of Governors, the Treasury, Senators, Wall Street, Jamie Dimon, Larry Fink, they all on a Zoom call, about 50 or so people on the screen. They've been talking about how to maneuver. And one of their cards up their sleeve was like, maybe it's time to drop a bomb. Boom. And so everybody on that call literally went and logged in their account, bought, 100,000 shares of Lockheed, 100,000 of Ray Martin, 100,000 of this military company. And this is how I just hypothetically throw out scenarios of what could be, because if the rest of the world is tanking, but Lockheed Martin gets a price surge overnight after hours, then that usually signals that something's coming. So we were talking about war earlier. Once again, that could be the evidence that proves that before the week is out, a bomb might drop somewhere. And it's unfortunate that if that happens, God forbid it does, the U.S. is, what's his name? Lindsey Graham. We need to go to protect Israel. We need to go to protect our interest. More young men and women been lured into bankers' wars. That's the trend that we can go upon throughout history. It's a common play that has been used often. And so I said Nancy Pelosi because you know how they got on Twitter, they got people that track our Congress's portfolios, and all of them seem to get in before events occur. And then they always manage to dump before the market dumps on a company or something. So that's one of the benefits of being a politician. You get inside information, and it's 100% legal. Been moving gold and silver since 2015. Rather be earlier than one day later. 100%. And ultimately, man, I was trying to really figure out ways of encouraging people to not look at gold and silver solely as like, it's not an investment. To me, it's not an investment. I look at if Federal Reserve notes are receipts, or IOU nothings. This whole paper was brought into existence with the idea that used to say redeemable for gold or the redeemable for silver at your local bank. And of course, since they removed that on purpose, people don't know that that was something that was always an option for them. So even though they removed it off the paper, if you know your history, you know that the paper is still a receipt and it's meant to be redeemed. So whenever you get some couple pieces of paper, it's only natural for you to return to sender and go to your bullion dealer or go online and do whatever you do. Send in some of them pieces of paper and get you some of that shiny stuff in the form of getting real money. And so if gold and silver is money to you, then regardless of what happens in this digital paper Ponzi scheme of a world, you're still sitting on liquidity. You have your own, if you got your own reserves, whatever that might be, you have liquidity, instant liquidity, where you can literally if you need an emergency, you can go take that and it'll be received on the other end by somebody willing to receive it as tender at any moment. So people who are awake and aware know the importance of having gold and silver because they are money. You have capital, you got liquidity that can do you wonders if stuff hits the fan on the outside. So, and of course, you need some paper just from bartering sake more so in the short term. That's my viewpoint, which allows me to not fall victim to the volatility of prices. I see something go down, I want to buy more. That's just me. What else we got here? All right, so let me refresh the page one time, and then I'm going to just call it quits, and then we'll pick up tomorrow morning, and we'll see what the world looks like at that moment. But praying for the best, so definitely for my believers out here, we got to pray. Looks like Donald J. Trump is out here tweeting. We got something from the former president 45. He this is what he posted on what's that, Truth Social. It says stock market is crashing, I told you so. Kamala doesn't have a clue. Biden is sound asleep. All caused by inept US leadership. So Donald Trump is tweeting that it came out at 11:07. So he's watching the markets. And once again, I'm pretty confident he's positioned in a very favorable way. He's going to come out better than he came into this situation. So, yeah. Anyway, but that's all she wrote, man. We can be on here forever. I'm not going to bore you any longer. But one thing just to leave you guys with, okay, we don't know how the things will unfold tomorrow, but we can pray that we wake up tomorrow morning and this is just a unpleasant experience. Or we can wake up and this can be a unfortunate nightmare. But then again, if you've been watching, waiting, anticipating, you knew things were going to change, hopefully you have minimized your exposure to things that you can't control and then put the rest in God's hands. So literally, for all my believers out there, let's get our prayer on tonight. Let's get our prayer game up. Step your prayer game up. Get your prayer game up and let God do what he got to do because he always takes care of his own. And that's my belief there. Hopefully it's yours as well. But anyway, good people, be blessed, be safe. If you found value here, if you enjoyed being a part of the community, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. And we'll be back in a couple hours, man. We're going to do it in the morning check-in, and I'm sure there's going to be stuff to talk about when the market's open. So anyway, enjoy your night. Be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. Peace.